Hi, this is Dave, and before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.
My action figures and we developed a very rich world with my little sister and her Polly Pockets and yeah, the galaxy far, far away and Polly Pocket world, wherever that was located.
Hello there. This is Dave and welcome to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of Star Wars fans to see how the franchise impacted their lives. In a galaxy rich with countless perspectives, here, yours takes center stage. Because I believe listening to someone talk passionately about what they love can broaden your own certain point of view. If you're a regular listener, you know we've been off the air since December. All this time, we've been making changes and evolving the show. And we're going to be adding some exciting segments and doing deep dives and a lot of other new stuff. But best of all, we're going to add a co-host, and today is the day you get to meet her. And what better way of meeting her than finding out what does Star Wars mean to Elora? My guest today grew up, well, you could say, in the rebellion. As a teenager, she traveled the world with a band of pirates on a mission to save whales. Not the bad kind of pirates, but the good eco-conscious kind, whale-saving pirates. More recently, she works with a band of creative and broadcast video producers for leading technology and gaming brands. But she hasn't left the rebellion as she's also on the board of directors for Sarvey Wildlife Care Center, whose mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and release injured and orphaned wildlife across Washington state. But when she's not saving the world or the marketing strategy of a brand alliance, she's watching Star Wars. Let's give a warm hello there to a prequel kid and the new co-host to What Does Star Wars Mean to You, Elora Webb.
Hi.
Hello, Elora.
Hello there. Thanks for having me. I hope I'm a welcomed addition to What Does Star Wars Mean to You for you.
Oh, you already are. But tell me, Elora, are you ready to share with the world what does Star Wars mean to you?
I am. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Well, we're going to dive deep into what you've been thinking about. Now, this is going to be a slightly shorter episode than normal because we're going to get to spend a lot of time with Elora.
Yes.
So we're just going to get your kind of Star Wars saga baseline.
Yeah.
And I like to start with 5 with the Force. So
let's do it.
Excellent. Which Star Wars movie is your go-to favorite?
Well, there's a couple ways to answer this, and that's the most obnoxious way to answer that, instead of just come right out and say it. If you asked me as a kid, I would say Attack of the Clones.
Uh-huh.
That one was on repeat, and if you asked me now, I would probably say, it kind of depends on the mood. If I'm going for something that's traditional sci-fi, then it's going to be A New Hope. If I want
Classic.
It's a classic. It's just a really good movie, and it's a really good, it has a really solid beginning, middle, end. It doesn't kind of leave you wanting more. If you just, are going to tune in for one movie, you're not going to be binge watching for the day. Just a really, it's just solid. If I'm looking for that nostalgia and fun, then it'll be Attack of the Clones. And then if I want something that feels new or exciting, then I'm going to go with something from the sequel, and that's probably Force Awakens. And I should be tuning into those a little bit more because I haven't had as much time with those characters. And every time I watch them, I catch something new. And so those are probably top 3 if you look across all of the
I like how
trilogies.
Your top 3 is one from each trilogy. That's a true buffet sampling of the full Star Wars.
Oh yeah,
smorgasbord.
Well, you got to do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's fantastic. Okay, for this one, I need to roll a D6.
Let's do it.
Oh, this is a good one. Who is your favorite droid?
Oh yes, I love my droids, as you know.
Yeah.
And our listeners will come to know. It's really easy to say C-3PO because I love comic relief in anything. But Recently, my favorite has been B from Andor.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like the emo droid.
Well, yeah, he's just so in his feelings.
Yes.
And I there's just something very charming about that. But I also love like K2SO and
oh, yeah.
Yeah, we could do an entire mini-sode on droids, and we probably should.
Yeah,
And
we will. We have to. What's fascinating about the droids is they kind of reinvent the character of a droid every
time.
Every time.
Yeah.
Each time you think, okay, they've reached the limit of droid personalities, and yet they come up with more.
Well, and B's the perfect example of that. Like I'm saying he because they kind of assigned that pronoun to it, but there's something so charming about, like, he's a fearful droid.
Yeah.
He's kind of shy. He only kind of sticks to his own, but like he too kind of like has this story arc in Andor where he comes out of his shell, as it were, and like is also like kind of like wanting to fight in the rebellion, but he's still very true to his timid self. And I feel like there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
In terms of like, because droids in Star Wars, they're so a product of their programming, obviously, but they're also so much a product of their environments and the people that they bond with. And like, there's so much to dig in there and into what they represent and what they bring to the story as a whole. But I just loved this storyline of this like fearful droid that just wants to like do good and hang out with. It's Marva, right?
Yes.
I'm really bad with names, listeners.
I am too. So we're going to mess up a lot of names.
So get ready for that. He just wants to do his thing with Marva and their world kind of explodes and yet he has this story arc of kind of like, wanting to join the Rebel Alliance himself and him just like rolling down the street with the brick. It's like, you can't just help but love him. So I would say right now B's my favorite, but ask me again tomorrow.
I'll call you up.
Yeah, I'll just like do a daily tweet. Today I'm feeling. Yeah.
My droid mood today is
BB-8.
Question number 3. What is your favorite line to quote?
I always loved only Siths deal in absolutes.
Yes. Only Siths deal in absolutes.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's a great metaphor for life. Just like, what? Life is gray and like don't go stick with that black and white thinking. My husband is listening to this right now and laughing because that is my thing is like I'm very like just when you think about the world, I'm like, no, there's it's good or it's bad. It's black or it's white. Like and that's just not true. There's a tapestry of color and gray. Yeah. And I also love don't call me a mindless philosopher.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes.
C-3PO. Yeah, I have a lot of C-3PO lines. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it would make sense. He's one of your favorite droids.
He is. It's not in my programming to impersonate a deity.
Well, funny you bring that up because my next question is, can you do any Star Wars impressions or impersonations?
Oh, no, that's a great segue. I cannot, but I do quote C-3PO to myself a lot. So that might be the closest you'll get. Like, or what is it that he says? Like, we're made to suffer. It's our lot in life or something like that. Yes.
Besides the movies, what is your favorite Star Wars content? This could be a TV show, a comic book, a novel, a game. It can be really any wallpaper. I had Star Wars wallpaper as a kid, so.
Oh my God, I would have loved to have Star Wars wallpaper. Oh, well then, I mean, if we're going back that far, then it was my action figures.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My action figures and we developed a very rich world with my little sister and her Polly Pockets and the galaxy far, far away and Polly Pocket world, which wherever that was located.
It's in a pocket universe.
In a pocket universe somewhere, often interacted. Jedis were constantly saving the day. We would create large cities out of cardboard boxes, and it was all kinds of fun. Put them in the little cruisers that I had, and like Anakin's yellow cruiser, and just like anyway. So I loved that. I'm really enjoying. I feel like we're so spoiled right now. Like we're getting so much great Star Wars content. On Disney Plus, and I think Andor is probably my favorite that's come out of that. Just a solid show. I mean, even pull it outside of the Star Wars universe, it's great science fiction.
It is.
It's such a good one. I know that, like, from some of our conversations that we've already had with guests, that this is a little bit of a hot take, but I loved Obi-Wan.
Yes.
I did. I just did. It was so lovely. I there's some plot things, but watching young Leia and Obi's more one of my favorite characters, so that was just really fun for me. I loved that show a lot. It doesn't always have to be so deep. Like, you can just enjoy it. You can just forgive some stuff and just enjoy it.
You know, it's really fun to see Darth Vader, or even Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, go at it with Obi-Wan.
Thank you for reminding me. Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Like, having that duo back on screen together, and then that battle, it's so cinematic, seeing him go from Anakin to Vader. And I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it. It's so good. But I feel inclined to say that I think that I've allowed myself to kind of maintain a more surface level fan base, and that coming on and doing this has been so exciting for me because I feel like I'm kind of like unleashing that inner nerd a bit more. And I'm diving into content that I hadn't yet before. Like, I hadn't cracked the books, and I am now. And, I hadn't watched any of the animation series yet because, and this is a rabbit hole for a whole other episode. I'm not my therapist, but I was afraid of cartoons as a kid, so I kind of avoided them as an adult. And I'm realizing that I missed out on so much good content. So I am diving in and learning a lot from our guests and learning a lot from exploring just like all of the stories that I hadn't yet exposed myself to. And that's been really fun. So I'll be a little bit on that journey throughout this podcast as well.
That's amazing. I'm a little jealous of you because you get to kind of, you're a fan, but you get to experience some new things.
Yeah.
In a fun way.
It's super fun. I'm excited to crack the comic books. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's do it.
There's some great comic books out there.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, though, what was your first introduction to Star Wars, and can you take me through that experience?
I've been thinking about this, and I kind of joked to myself, I think it was yesterday, actually. I was like, there is no world where I did not end up co-hosting a Star Wars podcast. And let me tell you why. Because it's written in the stars. Because my parents named me Elora.
Yeah.
And George Lucas came up for the idea for Willow, which, if you didn't know, Elora Danan came from Willow, while writing and researching for A New Hope. So I kind of feel like this was prophesized. Oh, wow. Literally.
You are the chosen one, Elora.
I must be. No, I'm joking. Skywalker, I looked this up. I didn't know this, but Skywalker is apparently the English translation to a Sanskrit word, dakini, which is the species Elora Danan is in Willow.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? Yeah, I did a deep dive on the creation of Willow. But anyway, because I was like, oh, this is like, my parents gave me no other option. And so that's how I will answer your question. It was my parents. My parents introduced me to Star Wars. They're super nerds as well, and I love them for it.
Do you remember how they introduced you to Star Wars? Or?
Well, I was five or six when Phantom Menace came out. And so I'm pretty sure that they were just really excited that there was more Star Wars to come and coming out in theaters. And so I think they just wanted to share that with us. I really, truly don't have a clear-cut memory of like the first time I watched Star Wars. My memory as a kid's a little bit fuzzy. But I know it had to be my parents because I do recall my father at one point saying that we weren't going to be watching the prequel trilogy until I had, experienced the original. That was very important. Yes. I think, honestly, that Attack of the Clones and Star Wars in general is what gave me my love of just epics, story epics. I ended up being a theater kid, probably for that very same reason. Like, talk about an epic form of storytelling. What I always loved about them was that, it was fun to get up on stage and sing and dance and be somebody else for 90 minutes or whatever. But I, especially as a teenager, I just loved their ability to deliver hard messages or discuss difficult topics in a really palatable way. Yeah. And I think that probably came from, I think that love of storytelling came from Star Wars and And there's a lot of that in Attack of the Clones. There's a lot of like civil unrest kind of happening behind the scenes. And that's kind of where you start to see it all come into play.
It's totally true. And one of the things, traditionally, I think Attack of the Clones is looked upon as one of the worst of the movies.
It is.
But in doing the podcast, like someone said, it has everything. It has a mystery, it has romance, it has political intrigue, it has action. And
it's an epic.
Yeah, it's epic. And every time I think about Attack of the Clones now, I think about those things. I'm like, wow, it really does have a lot going on. And it's fun to watch. It
you're
really
not
is.
wanting for anything. You're absolutely right. It's got all these different threads. And yeah, I don't need to repeat what you said. You got it dead on. That's exactly why. It was probably my favorite as a kid.
We talked about you had you were on a ship to help save the whales.
Try to.
Try to. Which thank you for that. I when I was a teenager, I was playing with Star Wars figures, trying to save Han, and I feel like to be driven to try to join a ship and live that life for, was it 4 years
I wasn't on the ship. It's confusing. I wasn't on the ship for all those years. I was part of an environmental nonprofit, ocean conservation nonprofit, trying to either interfere with illegal whaling or at least expose operations that may have been legal in the countries they were operating, but were unjust. And so it was a mix of traveling the world on the ground and then also at sea for a while. Yeah.
Wow. So, so Star Wars has this natural kind of like nature versus tech theme.
Yeah.
And the oppressed versus the oppressor.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though any of those elements drove you towards a socially conscious lifestyle, like becoming a pirate? Is that really a question?
An eco-terrorist.
An eco-terrorist? Yeah.
Which is something I was labeled in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Fun fact.
Should I have done a background check on you?
Maybe. We're actually not 100% sure I can enter the country anymore. Someone should look into that for me. But that's a podcast for another day. Separate conversation.
That'll be another deep dive.
1,000%. 1,000%. I think I got a lot of that from, again, my parents. My dad was a federal agent with the EPA. So, I mean, he literally put polluters in jail my entire childhood. So that was like kind of ingrained.
Wow.
And my mother runs a wildlife center. So that was there. But I was always, and probably from that influence, really obsessed with like justice as a kid. And so I think I loved stories about the underdogs, and the rebels and this kind of insurgents to do what was right. And Star Wars is the best example of that. And so, 1,000%. I think that, not to get ahead of what I know is coming, but what does Star Wars mean to you? I think it played as a story in my youth, and I think it played a big role in my altruism. Yeah, you have this epic story of good versus evil and redemption and these underdogs kind of rising up and people some who are prophesized to kind of rise to this occasion and others who are scoundrels. And who to choose to join. And there's just something so lovely about that. And I think that as I got older, and especially now, like looking at the franchise more thoughtfully as we do this podcast, is I think that George Lucas made us all like anthropologists as kids and really, and then was just kind of trying to teach us about life through this epic. And that's what science fiction has always done. And that's why he's probably one of the best science fiction storytellers in the history of humanity. So yes, the answer is yes. It absolutely did. Not to get too deep, I promise that I also love Star Wars for all of the ways that it is fun and doesn't have to get too deep and can just be something exciting and lovely to watch. But
well, I think your love of Attack of the Clones is proof of that.
Yeah.
Right?
1,000%. I think that's where it came from. So yes, I to those listening being like, what do you mean her favorite was Attack of the Clones? I know it has problems. But I stand by that. Well, 7-year-old me stands by it.
To be fair, these favorites are created when you're a child and
1000%.
when you're younger and you haven't seen every film ever made, and you see this one thing and you love it, and it just stays with you. And that's totally that's just what movies do.
It's what they do. My other favorite movies, I had 3 in rotation as a child. It was Attack of the Clones. It was Andy Tennant's Ever After, because I loved Cinderella. And then, but also there's another female character who's written to be not so surface as Cinderella is. Like, you're talking about a character with like deep social awareness and she's also very super altruistic and is seeking justice and kind of, she's in a situation where you can cut all this out. I'm just ranting at this point. But she's also in a situation that she's being oppressed and she rebels in her way. And so there's that. And then A Bug's Life was also
the underdog versus the oppressors.
You see a pattern here. Yes.
Yes. What are the top 3 elements that make Star Wars to you?
There's so many ways to... Droids stick out immediately. Let's see. What else? Music, probably. I think that initial overture and fanfare, though, it just cements you. So music, droids. What's the third thing? This is going to sound weird, but the first thing that came to my mind just now was costuming.
Wow, yes.
I would have not expected that to come out my mouth, but that's just what popped in my head. And
well, there is something definitely about the production styling of Star Wars, where the world, it's kind of hard to say, oh, it's this or it's this. But when it's all together, when you look at the world, you know that it's a Star Wars world.
Totally. I think you're right. I think that you can look at a lineup of, I actually have a piece of artwork that is just like drawings of some of the most kind of iconic female characters' wardrobe. And that's all it is. And you don't need the characters in them to know that that's Star Wars.
Yes.
And part of that is because they're images we've seen for decades. But but part of that's also exactly what you just said. Like, just one of those elements that they got right that just cements you into this completely different galaxy. And I'm sorry, so many of the I think honestly, it's just I'm jealous of the Rebels' wardrobe. I would love to dress like that every day.
Yes. I always wanted the vest and the shirt that Han had.
Yeah.
Or the coat from Empire Strikes Back that he wears, the jacket, the half-waist jacket.
Yeah, I think we see ourselves in those and could easily put ourselves in those. And so maybe there's an element of that. Wow, what a weird answer. I would not have expected that. Okay, we're going to go with it. Ask me again tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. And I'll ask along with the droids.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is your favorite Star Wars memory?
I have fond memories of watching it with my family as a kid, like family movie night. I probably was the one begging to put it on. I really, this is a more recent one, but I have such a fond memory of going to see Rogue One in theaters. That was so exciting. There hadn't been a Star Wars film in theaters in a long time. Right, because that predated the prequel trilogy.
That was in between The Force Awakens and Last Jedi.
Okay, so maybe I'm getting it confused with Force Awakens. I think it was Force Awakens then. There was a new Star Wars movie coming to theaters. I think I had that giddiness that the original trilogy kids had when the prequel was coming out. I was obsessing over, I think I was literally stop framing trailers and just, I was so excited. And then going with friends and with your family and seeing again, John Williams, the fanfare, in the theater. And we all went to the tiny kind of it's a 1-screen movie theater in downtown Edmonds, which is the town my family's in. So that almost really intimate cinema experience, and we went with a bunch of friends and family, and everyone was like, "What's this gonna be?" That was fun, and we did that same exact trip for Rogue One, which is probably why I'm blurring it in my mind, and I had the same energy, but I had the same feeling when that came out as well. That there was a prequel to the original trilogy. Are you kidding me? I was so excited for that. Yeah.
Literally, the moments that lead up to the original trilogy is Rogue One.
And what a movie. Oh my
Yes.
God. It's probably, I literally, look at the hair on my hair. I literally just got chills thinking about that movie. It's like, it's not one that I can just turn on and go to because, one, I can't focus on anything else but it. And then two, it ends with this hope and it leads into a new hope. But God, like the sacrifice and it's a little too gutting, a little too real to just like have on as you're folding laundry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said perfectly in that it just grabs your attention and you can't look away.
You can't. Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about, we've talked about some of your favorite things of Star Wars, the droids, Obi-Wan. We've talked about how your kind of socially conscious views have been helped along or fueled by Star Wars and its themes of oppressor versus the oppressed, or vice versa, the oppressed versus the oppressor. I just cast us as the oppressor there in that example accidentally.
We all are sometimes. Right?
Yeah, you're right. We all are sometimes.
Let's get deep, Dave.
In the High Republic, they have a saying, we are all the Republic. And it'd be just funny if it was like, we are also all the Empire. So High Republic fans right now just losing their shit. I can't believe you made a High Republic reference. What was I
just tag us on Twitter when you talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. What was it? So how important Star Wars is to kind of like this co-viewing with your family. With all that we talked about in mind, can you tell me what does Star Wars mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I might just have to kind of go back to what I was kind of circling earlier, and that maybe what it is that it kind of almost like it gave me as a child in my child brain, it gave me permission to be the rebel.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes,
like it was almost like it's okay to stand up when something's wrong, and I think that that's always kind of carried with me. So I think that's probably the deeper answer, is that it was like almost permissive to speak up and do what's right, and to do something bigger than yourself. I think that's a really important theme from the films and just the story in general. But I think the more fun answer is that what does it mean to me in terms of kind of a more lightheartedness? It's just fun. Yeah. I mean, sorry to be so simple, but it's just fun. You are always entertained, and I'm a sucker for epic stories and good storytelling, and that's what it is. So it has a fan for life, and I'm loyal to it.
Well, I think that's a pretty good teaser of your Star Wars taste. And by the way, what you said about what Star Wars means to you, it is very kind of beautiful of that idea that it not only gave you permission, but urged you to stand up for yourself and for the oppressed. And I think that's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. It's definitely the most influential in that department. outside of like real life factors like my parents. But like, because my dad's listening to this, and yes, Dad, you were a big influence. And my mom, you were all both influences on that too. But in terms of the stories I was exposed to, yeah.
Well, coming up, we don't just have interviews, as we've talked a little bit about. We're going to be doing bi-weekly minisodes together that will include deep dives, character highlights, as well as this someone I interviewed last season, Matthew Freeman, who is a writer in New York, who writes the Star Wars newsletter. I'm never sure how to pronounce this. It's The Island in Last Jedi. Octu Baby. I always put too much of a German thing.
Well, and that happens so much. I think especially in science fiction, like if you're reading something and like you in your mind have what the word is, and then you hear it spoken out loud for the first time, and then you can never go back because that has been the word in your brain for however many years.
Which, by the way, another mini-sode.
1,000%.
Because there's so many things like Kinder Toys put in front of our faces that were never said, like the AT-AT or the AT-AT. Which is it? No one knows because it was never said in the movies.
Never spoken. So everyone's got their own. Yeah.
Anyway, Matthew Freeman writes a newsletter called Octu Baby. and he'll be sharing his essays with us.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. He's a really good writer, has a really great sense of Star Wars and kind of like he just has this great point of view on it that I love. And of course, new co-host. I'm excited that you're going to be part of it all, Elora.
Thank you. I'm excited too. I hope the listeners are, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
So you can find me or Elora at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U on all the socials. And where can people find you on Twitter and Instagram, or X and Instagram?
My username is Cosmic Antlers. And on Twitter, it's Cosmic Antlers 93 because someone else had stolen the name from me. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for welcoming. Thank you for welcoming Elora.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
Yeah, we're gonna get there soon.
We're gonna get there.
One day, I'm going to be good. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
Hi, this is Dave. And before we get to the show, I wanted to ask you a favor. One of our goals this year is to grow the show so that What Does Star Wars Mean to You reaches more listeners. And that's where we're asking you for help. And it's really easy. Wherever you listen to us, please hit that subscribe button. If you're liking the show, give us a 5-star rating and review on the platform you listen to us. We make a lot of fun of the algorithm and the smash that button thing, but it really does help us get noticed by new fans. And if you want to join in on the conversation, find us on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's Star Wars Mean, the number 2 in the letter U. Now, let's chat some Star Wars.